Okay, we are just walking into the LA Roadster Show. Welcome. This should be a lot of fun. Pretty good, you?
Good. Any questions for you? Sun.
Yeah, it is. Sun came out.
Perfect.
Okay, fiberglass bodies and then reproduction chassis.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And then we distribute for a lot of different products.
Right. Okay. Cool.
How are you? Good. Some of the different products and vendors.
Okay. Very nice. Very cool. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too, man. Yeah, that way you can really show off the jewelry. All right. At the show, there are a number of vendors showing off their wares. We'll cover a few of them, but this one was right in at the beginning and showcasing their fabulous fiberglass bodies. And you just saw their information. But once again, we went on a Friday, specifically this time Friday afternoon as opposed to Friday morning, and walked around. And as you can see, it was actually quite full. There are quite a few gorgeous cars I guess we're going to go and say the west end of the section here is predominantly all roadsters of one form or another. The actual club itself, the LA Roadsters, who put on the show every year, were originally formed in 1957. And starting in 1960 is when they started doing this annual show. And the requirements has to be a 36 or older, pre-36 car. I couldn't find anything on their website specifically has to be a roadster, but I'm pretty sure if it's not a roadster, they're going to give you a jaundice dye. Now here are a couple cars that I have seen. This one here with this LS motor and the carburetors, and this one here with the 4BT. I have seen at different shows around, including the Good Guys down in San Diego. Anyways, just so you know, right here next to where I'm filming is the DJ booth with a pretty good sounding PA system playing all your moldy oldies that were on Cola FM if you're from Southern California back in the 80s and 90s. It was quite a shock to find out that Cola FM now does 80s and 90s pop music and rarely plays the 50s and 60s stuff that they used to play, which is being played in the moment of this filming. A great way of making one feel old. Now, one thing, of course, about these classic hot rods is there are probably nearly as many owners riding around on scooters as there are 32 grills. So in the background, you can create a drinking game that's sure to send you to the ER by taking a drink every time you see a person in a scooter. Needless to say, the scooter rentals made plenty of money, I think, over this weekend. Enough cracking wise about the age of about being old, since now don't think it's ageist as if because here at the Pit Stop Ranch we are long past being considered spring chickens. Regardless, we see a lot of gorgeous roadsters, everything from 28, 29 Model A's with 32 grills to 32s with 32 grills, and the occasional 34, 35, 36 tossed in for good measure. It's always fascinating seeing the variety of drivetrains that people, of course, put in their beloved hot rods. Probably still the grand champion is the small block Chevy. However, coming in second would probably be the flathead Ford, which I thought was pretty phenomenal. I think it was pretty great. We had a lot of fun, a lot of inspiration, a lot of encouragement. We presently have parts for roughly 3 hot rods of variety of different concepts and configurations. We have 2As. One's the 5-window, the other's the Tudor. And recently, I don't think we've done a video yet, but we picked up most of a reproduction sheet metal body for a 32 Roadster. Probably do a video on that eventually when we get closer to putting them together, which will happen after we build the shop. Anyways, if you notice I am rambling on, it's because there's plenty to ramble on about. Big thing, again, like I said, is there's a tremendous amount of really cool old school rock and roll that we don't have the licensing for. So you get to hear my voice and probably a little bit of my own music that I have licensed for this purpose, playing from time to time. Anyway, now one of the things I kept catching my eye, or I'm really interested in, is seeing different people's multi-carb setups, because on these old hot rods, multi-carb setups are a really, I don't know, I find them a lot more attractive than like a single 4-barrel. Now, a single 4-barrel, especially modern 4-barrels, quite honestly, work incredibly well. Probably better than a in fact, not probably, absolutely. A single modern Dominator works better than 6 Strombergs. It's kind of out of place under the hood of a vehicle like this. To go that relatively modern, you might as well just drop an LS motor in it and be done with it. These cars, when they were being built in the 50s and 60s, were about being the pinnacle of speed and going fast on cheap junkyard parts. At this juncture here, they're more about an aesthetic and nostalgia for a time that really honestly didn't exist. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, that's what it is. As a result, when I'm building or looking to build one of ours, it's that realization that, that blown flathead, with that Edelbrock head on it where they had all the fins machined off, that is freaking hot. That's gorgeous looking. It's not going to compete with a box stock 4.8 LS motor from a truck engine in the same platform. Just not. Let alone a hot rodded LS motor or a hot rodded Coyote or whatever. Pick your hot rodded Gen 3 Hemi. But it looks so much better. Quite honestly, in these old cars, with the safety options available, drop beam front suspension, buggy springs, etc. Even if they do the the legendary Mustang 2 conversion, the safety and handling in these cars, you just aren't. You're braver than you are smart if you're actually gonna drive them in anger. Short wheelbase, etc. That doesn't mean you don't build kick-ass engines like a Boss 302 and put it in your 32 Roadster pickup. Sure, absolutely, do that. You just, you're not going to tune it for max power. You're going to tune it for drivability. Yes, that's my thoughts on it. Now, this one is a unique one. It's got the Cadillac engine in it. There were a handful of Cadillac, Oldsmobile, far more Hemis, first generation Hemis than Oldsmobiles or Cadillacs or anything like that. but nonetheless, a lot of very cool stuff. And you can see as we zoom in on the prices, the variety. I mean, that little T-bucket with the cut down 32 grill was $15,500. Which for a hobby car, that seems like very reasonable. Then again, earlier there was a gorgeous 32 Roadster, or with the top on it. Someone was asking $95,000 for. So I don't know where they got that number, but you know, it is what it is. Now, for some people, I mean, you know, they're retired, they're still healthy, so they built their dream car, and they put a lot of time and money and spent probably a fair chunk of their retirement on it. And now they've got to the point where the work is done, and they're not excited about, you know, there's nothing left to do on the car, very little less left to do on it besides drive it. And quite frankly, you know, the little Hemi valve cover sticking out there. They're, you know, for any number of reasons they've decided to sell out. Maybe they just can't drive them anymore. Maybe they just don't have the you know, strength or whatnot. And so it's time to move it on down the road. It might even be they really need to recover the retirement funds they have expended on building their dream car. Who knows? But I'd be curious if anyone has any theories on the valuation. Like I said, Mustang 2 front suspension. Coilovers are pretty common on the rear end. You see everything from traditional hot rod builds to builds that look very familiar from 80s and 90s. You know, the Chevy 350, Turbo 350, Ford 9-inch, you know, Mustang 2 front ends. Hell, those wheels right there look like they came right out of Boyd Connington's showroom from 25 years ago. So, and I guess that's one of the neat things about these cars is every single one is a expression from the owner builder about what they think it should be and their priorities. You know, is it where are they putting their time and money? What aesthetics appeal to them? What are their intentions? What are their plans for the car? And it's a mixed bag. You see a lot of really cool things, a lot of things you're kind of like, I wonder why they did that. But every single one of these cars is someone's pride and joy and dream come true, and a lot of them, you know, some of them are more outlaw, some of them are a lot more like this one here is very much a gentleman's hot rod. Whereas, of course, the fenderless, running boardless ones are more of a hooligan's hot rod. Regardless, it's neat to come out and see so many concentrated in one particular spot and share it with y'all. Now, this T-bucket is really cool. It's a V8 60, which we were only really come across in midget cars in our wandering. So actually to find a V8 60 in the wild, it's pretty phenomenal, pretty cool. Now, we got some cars. I mentioned some of the interesting drivetrains that show up. Here's a original Rochester mechanical fuel injection that was an option available on the early Corvettes, the 55, 56, 57 Corvette, as well as in the Bel Airs. It was the first engine to get 1 horsepower per cubic inch, and unfortunately a lot of those systems were stripped off those cars because Mel at the corner service station didn't know how to work on them when they started having troubles. So they'd go and strip them off, throw them out, and slap on some carburetors. It's neat to see an actual Rochester setup actually on a car. Really, really cool setup. Standard small block with 2 4-barrels. Nice engine, nice combination, classic. Okay, and like I said, Hemi power, blown Hemi power. Honestly, can't tell. I don't know if that's a 426 Hemi or if that's a first gen Hemi. I think that's a 426 Hemi. Correct me in the comments, please. Feel free. If it is, that is an insane, very costly setup for a hot rod like that. Here's another really cool one. It took me a minute of staring at this, and therefore the odd angle, to figure out what we got here. This is a 351 Cleveland, of course, with the front-mounted, I think it's a 671 blower with, I believe, fuel injection, but I could be mistaken. I had a little conversation with a gentleman sitting there. I asked a few questions. But yeah, a very interesting setup. Now, for some reason, this appealed to me. This is a 4-cylinder, and to be quite honest with you, I'm not sure which 4-cylinder. I almost think it's an Iron Duke, but I could be mistaken. Regardless, it's kind of neat to see a dressed-up 4-banger. It's definitely not one of the early Ford 4-bangers. Now, across the way is the ones that don't fit into the overall concept or just simply showed up. This here's a 35, 36, 33, 34 with a 351 Windsor. This one here, and just everything that falls outside of the 36 and older Roadster. And there's a lot of cool stuff. A lot of it is the usual that we see in other places, and some of it is kind of interesting. This Malibu kind of caught me a little bit. It's a straightforward small block Chevelle Malibu 1964, which you can get in 1964. Chevelle Malibu was a package you could do in 32. Now, one thing I find interesting is that back is flared in a way that I don't think is factory. It's cleanly done, but it's flared, as you can see me pointing at it. That I believe is non-factory. Someone with a 64 Malibu Chevelle, let me know. I know it's not like that on my 66. Well, my 66 has got Coke bottle shape to it, so it's kind of that way. Now, this one here, this Ford Tub, this was at the Antique Nationals up at Irwindale a few weeks ago, and I recognized it. It's a pretty cool little car. I dig it, and as a result, I spent some time filming it more than others. But I do dig the aesthetic, and I think it's a pretty cool car. It's something that... if you got a family or something, it'd be a good one for carting the family around in. 2829A with a 32 grill and a special hood. Now, this little thing, I was kind of interesting because there's a fair amount of nice metalworking done. Now, those seats seen better days. But overall, and then the fact that it's riveted together, it's pretty cool. I dig it. I think that, and again, bare metal, other than the potential of getting, the sunlight shining in your eyes. But bare metal is a look that is almost bragging. You can say, look at how good my metalworking skill is, and I think that if you got the skills to do bare metal, you got something to brag about. But that's simply my opinion. Pretty cool Ford. Of course, blown flathead, Navarro heads. Another car the person has for sale. That one's not for sale. Now, I thought this was a really cool truck. It's like a 61 with that the grill like that. But then being the GMC, the V6 like that, assuming it's still got the V6 in it, which that's an amazing V6, probably 302 cubic inch V6, which was the small engine of that family. I think it'd be a cool family cruiser if that you're so inclined. Now, this is something it kind of threw me for a loop. It's a Thunderbird, right? But that's a Chrysler Firepower. What the heck? You know, got some advertisements on there regarding various different induction systems they tried out on it. But it is a Thunderbird with a Hemi or a Chrysler Firepower Hemi, probably 392. I didn't see anything that told me it was not that. Maybe it's only a 354, but whatever. It's still, I think that's a really cool car. Now, unfortunately, sitting next to it, I know what they're going for. They're trying to make it like a Nomad, but that's kind of an abomination to me because you took a car that I really like, and wow, I can't help but feel it wasn't poorly executed, and it just doesn't work. I mean, they had the Buick Roadmaster station wagons, which are really cool, but I don't know. And then they put the Chevy front clip on it, I guess. I don't know what they're doing. It didn't look good to me. It looked bleh. Now that's really sweet, blown Chevy. Now, whenever I go high like that, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, it's because there's people standing there busy talking. And as I like to get as good a footage as I can for you fine folks, while I'm filming, while I'm there, I don't like necessarily interrupting other people's good time. So frequently, I try not to crowd them, and I don't want to get in between them and the vehicle that they're enjoying a conversation about, I presume. And as promised, here's some of the vendors that showed up to hawk their wares, show off what they have available. Got Moon over yonder, Hot Rod, a hot rodding magazine. I don't know which one. Different engine builders. combinations. Like I said, the Moon booth. And Brookville bodies. Brookville, I think at this point here, is generally accepted as being one of the paramount, one of the certainly top shelf sheet metal reproduction sheet metal makers. They only make them A's and 32s. I kind of asked about like a 34-3 window, and like, nah, nothing going on with that. But if you got the money, and because they're considered some of the best, and they look great. Just look at that. They command the price that goes with that, having that respected position. So now I took a lot of extra footage of it because it's excellent raw material. One, because again, we got a reproduction sheet metal 32 Roadster we will put together at some point, and we'll need to do some stuff. We'll probably have to make a few pieces for that. And then we also have our A's that will need floors. So getting a little inspiration by looking at what Brookville does is, I think, helpful. Now, it has been said, I do not know the truth of it, but it has been said that there are more 32 Fords registered in California than Ford actually made. Don't know the truth to that. I don't know if it's just apocryphal, but I think it's fact. And next up is the swap meet portion of our show. Lots of fantastic stuff. This car was here last year. Same price. It's cool. Very cool. So, kind of went with a bit of a speed run here. I apologize if it's makes you nauseous, but we've covered many swap meets, and whereas I genuinely think that this is one of the best purely automotive hot rodding style swap meets, where you're likely to actually find something very interesting, as well as in a reasonable price range. Pretty good, you?
All right, hanging in there.
Very good.
That's all we can do nowadays, right?
It is, however, not terribly entertaining to listen to me say hi to everybody and explain what we're filming or why, and looking over and asking dumb questions about stuff that they've got out. There are a number of really cool vehicles, if you haven't already noticed, that are usually placed all about in the out in the flea market area, the swap meet area. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this section. I'm going through extra fast. Anyways, but as we speed it up even more. Actually, this section here I accidentally filmed in with the stop motion, or not stop motion, but time lapse with the GoPro. Regardless, anyways, the net effect is the same. Blasting through. Look. Well, thank you for sticking around this long. I hope you enjoyed our coverage of the LA Roadster Show. This is our second year going, and once again, the swap meet did not disappoint, but this time we came a little more prepared, though we were, brought money just in case there was something we really wanted or needed or whatnot. And so we ended up we walked all the cars, and we only walked about half of the swap meet by the time a lot of the vendors were closing down for the evening, and quite honestly, we blew through our budget and then some. We didn't even manage to cover the whole swap meet, but it is definitely, if you're unaware, it is definitely by far one of the best hot rodding swap meets there is. It's what so many of the other swap meets you once were or have been in the past, but don't seem to be anymore. And we got some really good deals, I think. There were a lot of guys who were selling the cast-offs from their projects or their father's project or their grandfather's projects, and just wanted to get rid of stuff. Run you through some of the great treasures with which we felt we couldn't live without. So, as you might be aware of, we pulled home the 32 body, just no deck lid. Or you might not be, I don't know if we've done a video on that one yet. It's all reproduction steel, all in good shape, but no deck lid. So we picked up this deck lid here for actually pretty cheap. Now, the thing about this deck lid is it is fiberglass. It's a pretty nice one. It's a very nice fiberglass one, but it is fiberglass. So the seller had a sense of humor. Next, I picked up these two vacuum secondary Holley carburetors, roughly 600 CFM each. I will run the numbers to confirm that. Price was right. We got both of them for pretty cheap, kind of a package deal. Significantly less than some people were trying to sell Stromberg 97 cores. So picked them up. Kind of on a Holley kick at the moment. So this here is a 6.2 setup for putting 6 Strombergs on first generation Chrysler Firepower Hemi, the 350, 331, 354, 392. So yeah, kind of been looking for one of these for a while, and seems like everyone wanted an arm and a leg for them. The gentleman that I purchased this from only wanted a pinky finger, so there we go. Is there such thing as too many Ford 9-inch center sections? We're gonna find out. So this is a good limited slip center section, currently with 305 gears, or so the seller says, but came with 411 gears set. So if we wanted to swap out to 411, we could. The big thing with this was, and you'll start picking up a common theme, was price was right. The seller just wanted to get rid of it. He was tired of stubbing his toe in his garage. Again, this swap meet, is really good. All right, so yeah, no idea if these are real center or not. No idea. I have no idea if these, but they're Chevy bolt pattern. I think we already have a pair, some of those. And what it is we can, they're lightweight, they're in good shape, and they will fit onto flow. Our 1953 Ford F100 that we would like to do some land speed racing with, or we'll just make it a kick-ass muscle car. Either way, it actually is running, despite it being a Ford, it's actually running GM 5 4 3/4. It's got a has a Camaro front clip and a Camaro rear 10 bolt from like a second gen Camaro. So a gentleman came out, to pick up something from somebody else who wanted to buy, and decided that he was going to go ahead and bring a few things from his garage to sell, including these light buckets. We got 2 pair with the top. We got a donor set which got a lot of the parts that this pair is missing. This pair is straight and clean and not rotten. So again, kind of repeating myself, but price was right, so we got it. All right, so we got our treasures we've been promising ourselves we wouldn't buy any more of, but all stuff we would like. And now the challenging part is, where the hell are we going to put it all? Man. But we'll figure it out. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. If you had, please hit the like button. And if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Until next time, have a Roadster-tastic day.